Hey guys, we're just talking about value right now. She just told me something really interesting. She said that most women would be fine with settling with a man that is attractive, that is also getting with other women. Most women are okay with that as long as the guy has a certain level of attractiveness. But the thing is, she will not let other people know that because it gives her a bad reputation. So a lot of women you're seeing around you, they are hesitant to admit that they're seeing a guy that is seeing many other women, but that's who they're seeing. Am I correct? Most women are seeing guys that are getting with guys that are seeing a lot of other women, as long as they're attractive.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say like definitely in today's marketplace or dating marketplace. For sure. As long as I think as long as the guy is adding value, and that value comes in different forms, whether it's money, or some kind of provision, or they're building an asset, and no.
I would say the biggest value is the attractiveness of a man. So a lot of those guys who are seeing a lot of women aren't wealthy. I mean, I'm not a wealthy guy.
No, and you don't necessarily need to be. Yeah, I just brought that up as an example. You don't need to be wealthy per se.
You have to be valuable.
You have to be valuable. This man here has brought a lot of value to my life, like assets, things that have built me into a better and more valuable person myself.
And it most of it was not financial. It was advices. I gave her advice. I gave her stuff to help her. I would get her on a better diet, improve her health, etc. I did a lot of things like that.
Generous, but very generous. As far as what I said a moment ago about the money, he didn't even need to spend, I would say, a whole lot of money on me just because of how much he was adding to my life already without having to do that.
To be frank, I barely spent money on you. I bought her a bathing suit yesterday.
Yeah.
And I told her she has to return it today. I'm just kidding. But kind of like that. So other guys have to invest a lot more, but she sees me as valuable because of many other qualities I bring to her.
But can I add to that?
Yeah.
But it's not to say that he's cheap. Like, he's still not cheap because he's adding, so don't think that, not to be super rough or whatever, but don't think that you can get away with being cheap, because that's definitely not attractive. Not meaning you have to spend a lot of money on the person or the girl or whatever.
Yeah, but don't be cheap.
You don't be cheap with your time or your energy that you're giving.
Fine. Time, energy. Don't be. Cheapness is correlated with a very bad personality trait. It's Robert Greene talks about it in his book Art of Seduction. It's correlated with rigidity. Mm-hmm. So a lot of cheap people are very rigid mentally, and women like dynamic and stimulating men. They don't like rigid men.
If you're rigid, you're adding almost zero value.
Yeah, well, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. A girl will not feel good around a rigid man. Rigid people don't make it far in this world. The successful people are very generous with their energy and their time, and not with their time, but they're generous with other things. They're naturally very joyous and generous. Like, for instance, the best ladies men I know, when I was in Switzerland, I was at this bar at night, and one of the biggest ladies men, he's this proud, happy guy. He's got long hair. He's older, maybe in his late 40s. And there was beautiful younger girls all around him. They were laughing at him, smiling at him. They were trying to get his number, etc. And I walk into the bar and he's like, "Where are you from?" And he got really excited when he saw me because I don't look like the people there. I said, I'm from the States. I'm new here. And then he's like, he just grabbed me and he was like, "Let me get you a drink." He was very excited to see me, and he spent a lot of money on me just to get a drink. And he was a super ladies man. He had a joyous, generous spirit. That's very important. And then I had another story. All the ladies men I know are very, very, they're usually very nice people. They're good people. Ladies men. I'm not talking about guys who just, the guys who are most successful with women. I'm saying the top percent. They have a personality that's very attractive as well. They make people feel good around them. I know there's this concept, women like the bad boy, etc. The bad boy usually gets outdone by the guy who has the, stimulating and exciting spirit. Absolutely. I've seen it 100 times in my life. Don't try to be the worst thing you could try to be is a cold alpha male type guy. That is not attractive. Women like guys who are stimulating. The best thing you could be is be sexually attractive, mentally, physically, be stimulating as a person. Am I right?
Yes, I agree with that. However, I think if you are naturally, which I think it is rare, it's so rare because I think it's like in for a guy to be a bad boy or whatever, or like people perceive that as like the cool thing or whatever. But if you are naturally so a bad boy or whatever, what have you, then lean into it.
But most guys aren't naturally like that.
But if you're not naturally
They're
like
doing that to be attractive.
don't pretend thinking it's going to be more attractive or lead you to more women, because I tell you from experience, it will not.
And also, one thing to add to that, okay, when girls say, what you just said, I disagree with. She said that if you're naturally a bad boy, lean into that. That's not going to have anything to do with the attractiveness you have to women. It's going to have very little effect. The main thing is that you're physically attractive. If you're physically attractive, being a good and exciting and stimulating person is even better than being a bad person. Okay? If you're, of course, girls like...
I don't mean bad person.
Yeah. I mean, you get what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah.
And so... it's mainly the looks. The thing is, the reason girls say, oh, they like the bad boys, because the physically attractive guy doesn't have to be as nice. He doesn't have to cater towards her whim. He doesn't have to spend much time with her, but the girl will still be physically attracted to him because he's physically attractive. So women trying to kind of confuse it by thinking, I think I'm attracted to this behavior trait where he's like, doesn't care too much, this and that. There's a lot of guys in prison who are bad people who women are not interested in at all. They're way worse than majority of people out here. And there's only a handful of men in prison that are attracted to women, and those men are physically attractive. Simple as that. So it's the physical attractiveness that makes a guy attractive. And I would say that women want a guy who is not. They want strength. Strong is very important. So like physical strength is important, but I'm talking about mentally strong as well, like confident. That makes a guy who's a bad guy, but he's scrawny, weak character, versus a guy who's like, for instance, like Clark Kent and Superman. Clark Kent is going to be way more attractive, even though Clark Kent's a good man, because he's strong. Strong is important. Women like strength. They like the feeling of being protected. They like the feeling of being around a guy who could save them from something. So that's what they find attractive. It's not so much the being bad. It's more like the strength, I would say. And but also it's correlated with factors like a guy's personality being it kind of makes sense evolutionarily. Like a guy who's selfish, narcissistic, etc., Machiavellian and manipulative, maybe that used to be a survival advantage in the past. As Will Durant once said, our vices used to be our virtues. Because a guy who only cares about himself has a better chance of surviving and passing on the genes. A guy who only cares about himself has a better chance of, cheating on a girl, lying to her, doing this and that. But still, as a result, he spreads his genes. So maybe women have a natural attraction to that because it's evolutionarily advantageous. That's what I would say. Anyways, guys, that was my statement. That was like the part 2 of it. What else do you have to say? Be valuable, guys, though.
Yeah,
be valuable. If you're valuable, women will stay with you. Be valuable to her.
Yeah.
And I don't mean financially. I mean like as a person. Like you bring her, for some things I do, I make her feel good. I make her, I stimulate her mentally. There's also, I'm attractive to other women, so she gets a social status boost being with me. It's true. I also am like, I have connections that are kind of like high up in terms of like nightclub stuff. So I've taken her to events and stuff before, like nightclubs. So these things make her perceive me as very valuable. So value will have a girl want to stay with you, being valuable. If you're attractive and you sleep with a girl, but you're not valuable, like if you're physically attractive, you can end up sleeping with a lot of girls, but a lot of girls won't want to settle with you. In order for a girl to want to settle with you, you have to be valuable.
In fact, like for me personally, I feel like I can speak on behalf of most other women. Even if the guy is like, say, an 8 or a 9 out of 10, I will not, unless they're paying me, or in the past, I will not go on a second date with them if they're not adding any value. Like I remember I went on a date with this one guy and he was attractive, but he was like really into sports, and like that was like his personality. Like his personality was sports. Like I'm fine with a guy being into sports, but he was like, that was his whole personality.
Yeah. So remember, guys, what I said about women not liking a black and white painting of a chair. They want something like a Renoir. They want a Monet painting. They want something colorful, interesting, deep.
Something that makes us wonder.
Yeah, something that makes her dream, something that stimulates her. That's the whole pickup artist movement, though I think most of it is absolute BS. The whole pickup artist movement, one of the biggest factors is stimulating a girl mentally. So that's what they do. That's what negging is about, putting a girl down, changing her, self-perception. All that stuff is about, at the end, it makes the girl view him as more stimulating. And that's what makes him more attractive and be more of a high to be around. Women really like color. Okay, one of the experiences I had in the past that was one of the most telling experiences of how women think is one time I was at a storage facility dropping off stuff. It was way back when I lived in Europe. I was dropping off my luggage in the storage facility, and there was a girl that I was dating at the time who was helping me drop off the luggage. And she was, I was younger at the time. I was like in my 20s, early 20s. And I put my luggage there, and for some reason she's saying, I really don't like this place. And I was wondering what she means. It's just a storage facility. Thing is, the storage facility is empty. There's only, everything's just gray. Everything's gray. There's no color, no interesting things there. It's quiet, no stimulation. She really did not like that place. It was empty. It was just looking like no color, no life in that area. I was just dropping off my stuff, and I had a little mandolin in my storage unit, and I picked up the mandolin and I started playing, and she was getting real upset that I was playing the mandolin there. It was like she really wanted to get out of there. But it just goes to show, women, on average, a lot of women hate specific areas. I would say most women I bring to that storage unit, they would hate being there. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even places that are like broken and trashed out, but that are stimulating and interesting would be more desirable than a place like that with no color or no life. Am I right?
Like your apartment. Yes, he's absolutely right.
All right. Okay, guys, we'll leave it at that. All right. Thank you. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I think we've touched everything. Not everything.
Okay, one thing, guys, to note, that my friend here is a very creative type of personality, so she speaks a lot in terms of energy and this and that spiritual crap that we in the Black Pill community do not really respect that much. But I hope you guys found some things between the lines that are valuable. I'll try to make more content soon. I've just been busy, but definitely I will get more interviews with women, with different types of things, because I try to get honesty out of people. Yeah,
it's good to have different perspectives too.
You want to bring one of your friends one day to interview? Who do you think would be an interesting friend to interview? I want to hear about Ella, because she had the neck thing done too, the crazy shit.
No, the thing is, don't know, because
guys, there are so.
She's gonna know.
Okay, never mind. We could just be can you give us your experience? What? Okay, Ella. It's a very common name. Everyone knows Ella. No one's gonna reach out to Ella. Which Ella? The one in Wisconsin?
I'm saying if she hears this.
Oh, then I'll meet the name. She's not gonna hear it because she's not gonna see the podcast. I keep it completely private.
They used to hear 50,000 followers.
We're still in. All right. So we're going to leave it at that, guys. I could tell you guys, though, as a guy who is, no offense to the girl here, we're hanging out for the past, she's staying at my place for, maybe the next, few days, and she's been here for a few days. I can tell you guys, though, man, having a girlfriend is, when you're successful, having a girlfriend can be really, for me, it could be overrated, for real. I don't want to get married. The more I hang out with women, the more I'm I don't want to get married. All my brothers, they're married or they're getting married. My cousins, most of them around my age, are married. And I look at their lives and I'm I don't envy it, I tell you. My older brother got married, and guess what? After his wife was attractive, but after they got married, and had kids, she isn't attractive anymore. And I don't think she has any effort to become attractive again. She's eating all this junk food and all that stuff. I don't think it's worth it, guys. I don't think marriage is worth it. I think relationships are worth it, at sometimes for temporary periods of time in your life. But I feel like having freedom is the most important thing in life. Being able to go where you want, do what you want. If you're not successful with women, I definitely advise, improve your SMV, experience a relationship, experience romance, experience love. But after that, women bring a lot of value to your life by their energy in general. They're a very important part of life. But I would say be very careful about sticking with a person for a very long time. I think it's a very risky thing, and I think you may be losing a lot more than you're gaining. That's what I'd say. My ex, when she broke up with me, I was really sad about it, because she was probably one of the most fun people to be with, because she was bi and she would bring other girls to my apartment. I didn't have to put any effort. I would get another girl to get with, you know what I'm saying? And she was completely open about me picking up other girls. We'd go in as a duo to different areas and pick up girls together. And she was very attractive to women, especially. So she would get a lot of really attractive women who are even straight that wanted to still get with her. So, that was awesome. But when that broke up, I was very sad. But after about a month or two, I was like, wow, because what I was thinking was I'm like an older guy. I'm not going to get pretty girls anymore for a while. Then I realized my SMV is increasing with age. Can you give us your perspective on age? What do you guys think of that? Listen, guys, I'm in my 30s right now, and I am the most successful with women I have ever been. Yes, I was better looking, I'd say, probably in my early 20s or mid 20s, especially 24, 25. But my success rate, what I'm getting, and the amount of women I can date, and the women that are showing interest, and the age of women, I noticed I'm getting a lot younger women, I'm getting hit on by girls that are 17. I don't get with girls that age, but I'm getting interest by girls that are, 17, 18, 19, 20, around there. That's where I'm getting the most interest, and I'm in my 30s. So I think if you take care of yourself, if you're attractive, I think men even get more attractive with age. And that's been my experience, and she's here to tell you that. Here, can you explain what your thoughts are? Do you think men get more attractive with age?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, she's in her early 20s.
Yeah. I'm in my early 20s. I would say not only physically, although that's a huge component, I think men do get physically more attractive as they get older. I would say past the age of 55, they start to go a little downhill.
No, they definitely
do a little
go way
swoop,
downhill.
a little swoop.
55, I would say they go way down.
Well, most men
could keep it.
Some men can keep it depending on genetics and health and various. But I would also say men tend to reach their emotional maturity peak at age 28, 29, 30. In my experience. And I think that's very attractive when a guy is emotionally mature and, physically attractive, obviously.
Yes. Interesting. Yeah. So what about an older man do you find physically more attractive?
I think something about they're physically more attractive because you can see I don't know how to say this. You can see that they're attractive, and at the same time you can see their experiences. You can see it on their face, wrinkles. I think some wrinkles are actually nice.
Yeah, I've had girls tell me this before. Some girls really like crow's feet.
You can see their experiences, when they're a little bit older and they have that emotional maturity. They've seen life and they can teach you a few things about life and help you out and be an asset.
You guys keep in mind when she's saying attractive old men, she's talking about guys like Cary Grant. She's talking about guys like George Clooney. She's talking about guys like Harrison Ford. She's talking about guys like older Brad Pitt, older Leonardo. She thinks older Leonardo DiCaprio is more attractive than younger.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro. Actually attractive guys. Robert De Niro isn't that attractive, but his behavior makes him really attractive, I think. His character. So... and also, it's probably the status, the assumption of status of an older guy. I think like I said,
Robert
guys,
Redford,
Robert Redford. Like I said, guys, sexual attraction of that women have towards men is correlated with several things. Physical attraction is the most important part of it, the way the guy looks, his genetic quality, but also, if the guy's very high status, it's going to tie into his sexual attractiveness. They're very interconnected. A lot of
I'm sorry, what?
Wait, let me just finish. A lot of black people in the community think that they create a clear division between the effect of looks versus the effect of money versus the effect of status, when in reality they're correlated, right? Money and status will make a guy even more sexually attractive. It's not just being a beta bucks. It will actually affect her physical attraction.
Yeah.
For relationships, guys, I think guys have a lot more power to create relationships than they think. I think they have to work on becoming valuable and meeting women,
right.
being presenting themselves to women. They don't have to be chads to form relationships. Mm-hmm. They need to be valuable to form relationships. Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So even guys who are not great looking, like even average looking guys, if they find a way to be valuable to that woman, that girl, a lot of times a woman will choose a more average looking guy who's valuable over a very good looking guy who doesn't have any value. You agree?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, a guy who's like 5'7", but he's wealthy, he has high status, he takes you out, he could take you out in a private jet to fucking Hawaii or whatever, but he's average looking. He looks like a fat, you know who I'm talking about. He looks like that guy. That guy can be more attractive than let's say a Henry Cavill. Well, maybe not Henry Cavill, but let's say a guy like, that's not working. But let's say a guy like, a guy who's an 8, who has no value, has no status, no finances. A lot of times, but here's the thing: it also depends on the woman's menstrual cycle. When a woman's more likely to get pregnant, she's going to put more importance on a guy's physical appearance, because she's more likely to get pregnant, and therefore her genetic selection, her natural selection, makes her prioritize genetic quality over other things. That's why, there's certain times where homeless looking dudes who are very good looking can sleep with really beautiful women because of stuff like. You agree? No? Okay, never mind. Maybe not homeless. Okay, but like guys who are low status, who are very physically attractive, sometimes get with beautiful girls, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because it depends on her menstrual cycle.
Okay, but personally, I would never get with a guy who couldn't at least pay for my dinner,
Yeah. Well, you're also a gold digger, though. I'm just kidding. All right. All right, guys, appreciate you listening. I will post more content soon. Do you have anything else to say, or is that it? You think we got
it? I did. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, you don't remember?
I think, about, like, subliminal, like, message. Like, I think you'll get, like, if you're not adding value to that person's life, you'll get like subliminal messages. So just like watch out for that, because a lot of it is on a subconscious level. Like it's not something that that the girl will necessarily tell you up front or like speak to you about. You have to watch out for that.
Very true, guys. A lot of times women don't overtly say what's wrong in a relationship. When it's usually quiet, and they do it through body language, or you can see in their eyes something is off, and they're conveying to you something's off. And if you ask them, a lot of times they'll be like, no, nothing's wrong, but you notice that there's something wrong. So definitely keep your eye out for stuff like that. One last thing I was going to say.
We want you guys to figure it out, because if we have to like put in the work to like for you to figure us out, then it's like a chore for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh. What is your thoughts on text game? So do you think the way a guy texts matters?
Yes, I absolutely do.
Absolutely, it matters. You guys have to learn and pick up some pointers for texting. What makes a guy's text attractive? What makes it unattractive? My texts attractive?
Yeah. I think number one, when it's in response to what you're saying, I think that's an obvious one. When a guy, doesn't take hours on end to get, gets back in a reasonable amount of time. And I think when it's thought out, like well thought out, not, you know, I mean, yeah, sure, like using vernacular is fine, but like just like, you know,
what you want to convey through
being
text
genuine, but, you know, well thought out.
You can convey SMV through text by, for instance, showing, you know, responding intelligently, not like a nerd, but like being like, you know, understanding what she's saying, showing that you could convey a lot of traits through texting. You can also convey desperation through texting. You can convey that you don't respect her through texting. You can convey these things. What you want to come off on text is, usually for me, what it's worked best is respectful. You don't be overtly sexual. Some guys think that being overtly sexual is attractive.
Oh, it's a huge turn off.
Huge turn off.
Huge turn off. Even and like I think in a lot of guys' minds, when he says sexual, you're probably thinking like talking about sex. But even just saying like I got a message from a guy the other day who said, "I want to get with you. You're hot." That immediately turned me off, because it's like, okay, yeah, a lot of people find me attractive. So you saying that is not anything special. Why would I want to get with you? I mean, that's obviously not going to add any value to my life. So a lot of it does come down what you're adding, what you're giving to me, how, you know.
Well, it's also just a turnoff, because it makes it seem like that guy just wants to
That's all
pump
he
it up.
cares about.
Yeah. It's a turnoff. Versus a guy who's like, you know, respectful but also cool. Like he shows intent, he shows desire, but he does it with social grace. He's also cool. He's like, he shows that, you know, he behaves in a cool way. Shows he doesn't respond with big texts. Big texts are not attractive. Being too short is not attractive either. Be normal. You agree?
Yeah.
Just be normal.
I think, well, yeah, no, I think what you're saying is true about not super long text, but not like super
because
short either.
Super short will make it look like you're trying to be cool, or that you don't care about her.
Or that you don't care. But I think like a happy medium, but yeah, showing that you care, but that you also have things on your plate and like things going on in your life that are keeping you busy.
Yes.
Because if you care too much, that can also be a turn off. Not caring too much. If you're
desperate,
put in too much effort, it comes across as desperation.
Yes, don't ever come across as desperate. It's a really bad idea. Like, for instance, I've done, like, a surefire way to lose a girl over text is to over text her, like being really like wanting to meet her at this specific time, you know. If a girl is not responding to you, one of the best things you could do is leave a response, be like, listen, I thought you were really cool. I could imagine you're pretty busy right now. I just want to say I loved your personality. You had a great energy. Get back to me when you're more available, and leave it at that. And I've had a lot of women respond to me over time when I leave stuff like that. But when you like intensely pursue a girl, it turns a girl off.
And sometimes,
sometimes what?
I was just gonna say, and sometimes it does take us. Well, and it varies, but for me, like, it takes sometimes up to a few days. I mean, that's kind of long. I would say 1 to 2 days to get back to people. Just, you know, things going on. Maybe I have to think about something that just happened between me and that other person.
And keep in mind, she's not even that busy. I know girls who are busy with a lot of shit, like let's say they have work responsibilities.
They may take a week.
They may take a week or two. If this has happened, you know, even more, you know. But if you come across in a good way, they will want to see you again most of the time. You know, they'll remember you. Okay, so when you get rejected, you know, best you never take the loss. Or never get rejected in an unattractive way. Always keep your cool. It's a very attractive thing if a girl rejects you and you do it, you handle it in a really cool way. Isn't that like super like attractive when a guy does that?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I'll tell you guys a story.
Another thing is, like, if a girl rejects you, it may have nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It could have something to do with what you said or did, or how you reacted to her, or whatever. But what have you, but it could have very little to do with you.
Yep.
So just remember that.
Yep, exactly. So I had an experience in Chicago where I saw a girl who was really, really beautiful. Like, I'd probably give her a 9. Honestly, she was very, very like facially, look like a painting or something. But anyways, I was in Chicago in the mall, and I'm pretty good at perceiving body language and reading people. And I walked up to her, and I was kind of like, I was just honest and sincere. I was like early 20s at the time, and I was just like, listen, I find you really attractive. I think it'd be great to get coffee sometime. And then she was like, she looked at me and she gave me wide eye, then walked away. And then I was just like, but the way I handled it, I was just like, I was completely comfortable, and I was totally cool, but at the same time respectful. And I kind of like took a breath and just walked away. But the way I did it conveyed a lot of like confidence and self-assurance. And then later on, while I'm there, she's like, while I'm at the register, she's like kind of like hovering around me, coming close to me. I could tell by her face she's wanting me now to interact with her. I didn't, because I'm an idiot, but because I didn't have a good mentality. I didn't understand what was going on, but I could almost certainly say that she wanted me to approach her again, and she probably would have given her number or had a date with me if I went in like that, if I went in the second time. So sometimes I'm not telling you guys to harass a woman. I'm just saying, like, if a girl's giving you obvious signs after you approach her, you should try it again. But
and it could be, oh, sorry.
What's up?
It could also be that, like, she's just not used to guys approaching her. Like, I honestly, like I was saying earlier, like, I'm used to, like, getting catcalled more than guys directly approaching me. So even when this man approached me, I was a little, like, thrown off at first. So, like, don't be, yeah.
She's talking about me.
So don't be, like, if a girl, like, acts, like, standoffish or whatever, it could be, it could be that she's totally not into you, or it could be that she is just a bit, like, thrown off.
100%.
Yeah.
Damn, this was a really insightful discussion. Our first conversation we had wasn't as good, I don't think, but I think this one we had a lot of information we gave out. Yeah, guys, try to become more valuable. Try to increase your SMV. Of course, looks maxing is probably the biggest factor in this situation. And go to where the women are. Go to cities where you could meet women, like, New York, LA, Miami. Miami is probably the best in terms of attractiveness, like ratios, like the percentage of women in Miami are generally a higher percentage of women in Miami are more attractive than a percentage of the same amount of people in New York. In fact, I'd say New York right now has way too many unattractive people. New York is ghastly. Have you seen, like, you agree, right? Dude, the amount of unattractive people in New York is shocking right now.
Well,
it's like,
I will say this.
The women, like, there's like a handful. I walk by like one like, if you go to Soho, yeah, you'll see attractive women. But if you go anywhere else, like, there's a lot of attractive women in Manhattan. But keep in mind, when we're talking about percentage, there's a really large population of unattractive women. Just being real.
Can I say
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think when thinking about value and adding value to yourself so you can add value to other people or other women, I think you should also take your environment into account. So take a place like New York City. It's really, it's overpopulated. There's not a whole lot of space. The area is very polluted, highly polluted. So when I was not taking very good care of myself, when my stress levels were very high, and I wasn't eating well, I wasn't exercising. I was walking all over the place. I was an acting student, just graduated. I had a lot of my skin was terrible. I think my physical appearance was okay, but my skin was terrible. My hair was extremely dry. My interactions with other, people, men in particular, it just wasn't. I was more oh, I don't feel like I'm at my peak right now. Like, I can't. So just take your environment into account, because that can really affect how much value you're adding to that other person's life. Yeah,
because women relate, that they compare the men that they compare men to other men. So if you're in an area with a lot of high SMV men, it's going to be more difficult for you to succeed there. In fact, I'll tell you guys, the easiest places to date for a guy are generally places that have men of lower SMV. It's much easier to date in these areas, and you could get women of much higher physical attractiveness in these areas. So New York is a generally pretty competitive area. LA is very competitive.
Extremely competitive.
New York,
no, New York is.
New York is competitive. It's not.
Well, I will say this: like, I think I'm decent.
It's competitive among women. For men, it's if you're past a 6 in attractiveness as a man, you could do well in New York. What? If you're past a 6, I think so. Not like really well, but I think you can. You'll sleep around and you'll get some dates. A lot of women will settle with the guy because the men are like the more high SMV men have so many options there. You get what I'm saying? So they will sleep with those guys, but they will form relationships with guys much lesser SMV.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I agree and I disagree at the same time.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Unless I'm misunderstanding. Only because I think that even the top tier men, meaning 9, 10s, I think they will often, maybe not settle, but I would say sleep with women of lower caliber or whatever you want to call it, SMV.
Yeah.
That's
That's
lower
so
SMV.
true. You're right.
I mean, not 100% of the time. And then another thing, it's interesting because, like, when I go to, like, say, like, a nightclub, like, with, like, friends or whatever, there are a lot of very attractive women. And I feel decent, I'm decently attractive, but I'm not, I'm nowhere near, like, I'm not supermodel level, So, me walking down the street versus me in a nightclub, completely different, like, energy vibes that I get from men. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind, like, not only, like, what city you're located in, but where, like, what specific environment you're in. If you're walking down the street and trying to talk to a girl, it's going to be much different than talking to a girl in a nightclub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think I would probably, because it's a more vulnerable place being in a nightclub with so many attractive women around, I think I would be more likely to go for a little secret, to go for a less attractive guy than I would walking down the street coming home from school or work or what have you.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that when women are in nightclubs, if they're wanting to just have sex, their standards drop drastically. I've seen, because Gary is not an attractive guy. I have a friend named Gary, and he's tall, but he's really unattractive. He has kind of like a deformed looking face, and he's overweight. And he gets with unattractive women, he does get with unattractive women. But those, it's usually always in a nightclub that he gets with these unattractive women. He doesn't, like, when he meets girls in the daytime where it's sunlight and they're like seeing him and everything, he usually doesn't get responses. It's usually at environments where women are drunk, there's drinking, etc. He's also very tall, so being tall in a nightclub environment it can be a huge asset. A lot of times women can't see you very well, so like a guy like me, I'm not very tall. I'm 5'10", 5'11"-ish, but when I'm in a nightclub, a girl can't really see my face. She can't see my physique that well, my skin. But these are the qualities. In the daytime, if I meet a girl, she'll be responding by text for a long time. She'll be very excited to meet me most of the time. But if I meet her in a nightclub, she doesn't remember me that well, so my SMV isn't presented to her. She can't really see my looks, my asset. So for tall guys, I think nightclubs are way easier. Am I right?
Yeah. But I think also, like you said, when people are drunk, their standards immediately drop.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, in the daytime, for instance, if I'm with Gary in the daytime, in the nighttime as well, I kind of outdo him. But if I'm with him in the daytime, almost never does he pick up women or meet women better than I do.
No.
And he's literally 6'5", and I'm like in the 5'10" area, because women are looking at my skin, my teeth, my eyebrows, my facial structure, my physique, things like that, right?
Yeah.
So if a girl can't see that, if those are your assets, let's say you're not a tall guy, but you have the assets of good skin, good hair, good teeth, good facial structure, nice body. Yeah. If you have those assets, you want to be in an area where she could see those things, where you could present those things.
Yeah.
Wear clothing that can present those things as well. If you have a nice shirt, if you have a nice physique, wearing a tight shirt or a fitted shirt might be a very good idea. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, so the whole nightclub example, like, I wouldn't, don't use that as a place to hide and, solely to get, women. I think, but use your environment to your advantage. So, I don't know where I was going with that.
To the area where you have the advantage.
Go to the area where you have the advantage. Yeah. Yeah, that's better put. Yeah.
So, Okay, guys, I think that settles it. I hope this is educational. If you guys have questions for her, I will actually ask her, and we could do another interview, or I could tell you guys if she, etc. We could probably have more women on the show if, my friend here decides to bring more people. Anyways, I'll bring more valuable content to you guys soon. All right. By the way, guys, YouTube is not bringing out my channel right now. So if you guys spread it, I think it would help more people. My mission with this channel, I don't care about financial gain. I don't care about getting more famous or whatever. I care about helping people that need help. And I care about bringing accurate information to my audience. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good day.